In this video, I'm going to show you how to take your kick drum sounds, put them on your SD card, format it, and put it onto your TM2 so you can get some custom kick drum sounds coming right up. In the last week, I've had a few people ask me how to get custom kick drum sounds onto their TM2 module, but they want to transfer their waveforms onto that so they have their own kick drum sounds. The first thing you're going to need is an SD card. Now, all your waveforms are going to go on here. Let's head over to the module and I'll show you step by step how I made it work. All right, so we're at the module. We're going to take our SD card and we're going to insert it inside of the module. It's got a little spot down here and you got to click it to make sure it's locked in. Next, turn on your module. Okay, now the module's loaded up. We'll press shift, we'll hold down shift and press instrument. Then we'll go to this cursor over here and go over to SD card format. All right, now you're gonna see up here that it's flashing enter, so hit the plus sign. I'm not actually gonna do it to my card because I've already formatted it, but this is the first step. So what this does is it creates a bunch of folders on this card and allows you to put the WAV files in the specified folders. Next step, we're gonna go back to the main screen, then power off. Remember that, to power off before we pull the SD card out. And we're gonna go over to the computer and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so next we're going to insert our SD card into the SD slot on the computer. Here it is here, and it is called TM2. We'll double click that. And then there's a subfolder called Roland, double click that. And then TM2, double click that. And then in this waves folder is where you're going to put all your kick samples. All these kick samples should be in wave format, 16-bit at 44.1 kilohertz in order for them to work properly. Now, if you don't have them formatted like that, the best thing to do is to go inside of your DAW in Pro Tools, Reaper, I think GarageBand might even do it too, and then export them with those settings. So you can see here, sample rate 44.1, bits per sample, 16. Now sometimes they do have metadata tagged to them, so you want to make sure that's clear on it too. Now that this step is complete, we can eject this from the computer safely and then head back over to the module and I'll show you the next step. Now that we've got our SD card formatted and the WAV files dropped into the correct folder, we're going to insert this into the module while it's powered off before we power it on. Click it into place, power it on, wait for it to load. Now to find this, we're going to select instrument. And you're gonna see here that I've already got it up on the screen, but if you go all the way back to here, you'll notice it changes to instrument. Now these are all the preset sounds on the module. You wanna press the plus kit and go all the way right until you read SD card. Now you'll have all your samples here if formatted correctly. And if they're not formatted correctly, it'll give you an error on the screen and you'll have to go back and redo it all properly. Now I'll show you how I trigger into the DAW to get a kick sound into my recordings. Let's go check that out. What we need to look at first is how the triggers are set up, what inputs are going into, what they're going out to, and how they're getting into the DAW. Let's start with my trigger setup. These here are called the foot blasters. They're from a guy named Christian out of Italy. What's really cool about this is you could just set it under here, and this is on a piece of aluminum so you could bend it up. Like a traditional trigger, once it makes contact, it sends a signal down the line, and what's cool about this is it's a 1/4 inch, so all you do is plug in a TRS or just a 1/4 inch cable into it and then run it into your module. Now a quick tip for you here, if you're gonna go with these, you gotta remember this here is made of metal and your pedal that is making contact with it is also metal, so you're gonna get some natural wear over time. And to help prevent this, I cut a piece of felt and used some of the double-sided tape that was provided with the foot blaster kit, and then I adhered it to the bottom of the pedal. So now you have sort of a cushion in between it. Let's go to the module and I'll show you what I plugged in where and where it's going to. Okay, so that 1/4 inch cable I was telling you about goes from your trigger into trigger 1 and trigger 2. Because these are triggered individually as opposed to mounting it to a bass drum, I use the left pedal and the right pedal, or right pedal then left pedal. So they go into here, out of the pedal. Now if you want to listen to your feet while you're tracking or you're playing, you can use a headphone jack just up over here. And I actually bought an adapter. It's an 1/8 inch to a 1/4 inch. It goes from here around all the way up to my channel 2 over here, and then I can actually control the level here, so I have complete control of my kick drums in my ears before it goes to the DAW. Now what's great about this is if your levels of click track are not loud enough, or if these are too loud, you can always turn them down individually without having to get up from behind the drums. Let's move on to the next part. So I use the left channel to go out because I only need the one signal for both 1 and 2, so right and left foot, and it's gonna come out just in one cable. I'll show you where it goes to next. So the next thing we wanna do is plug it into one of our inputs inside of our interface. Now we want to actually adjust the preamp level so that we're not like pushing too much sound into our DAW. So you can just kind of see how loud you need it. Next, let's move back to the computer and I'll show you exactly what I do. Okay, so I actually pulled up an old session that I was working on, and I've got the track up here, trigger. Now we're gonna go here to check the input to make sure it's in the proper spot, input 8. Let's solo that and hear how it sounds. Okay, so it sounds like it's working. Now you can actually dial in your acoustic kick drum sound because you're not triggering the bass drum, and you can blend it with the trigger over here, so you can just adjust the volume. If you want to learn more about drumming and drumming related things, then I'll put a playlist up here. You can check out some other stuff. And if you haven't already, please consider hitting the round icon badge to subscribe to this channel. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.